Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at another type of conditional statement in C++, which is a switch statement. Switch statement is very similar to an if statement, so we're going to see what the differences are and which one we should use. So we're going to create a new file and we're going to call it switch.cpp. Then here we're going to put in the format or the syntax to creating a switch statement. So the format to create a switch statement is as follows. It's going to be switch, and in parentheses we're going to have a variable which we're going to be comparing. Then inside here we're going to have different cases. So what is a case? So for example, if we had a case here, it's going to compare whatever is inside the case to the variable, and if it's the same, it's going to execute a certain piece of code. So in our switch statement, we're going to have multiple cases, and at the end we're also going to have a default case. So what the default case is, if none of the above cases are true, it goes to the default case. So this is basically the same as having multiple else if statements, but when we use switch, it's more compact and it's more readable. So when we have multiple else if statements, we use switch instead. So now let's look at it in code. So we're going to write our template, #include iostream, and our main function. And in here we're going to initialize a variable called number, and we're going to set it equal to 1. So now we're going to write our switch statement, which is going to be switch, and in parentheses we're going to have the variable, which is number in our case, and we're going to have our curly braces, and in here we're going to have different cases. So for example, we're going to have case 1, which means it's going to compare the value of number to 1, and if it is the same, it's going to execute whatever is inside this case. So in this case we would just want to print out something, so we're going to print out the number is 1 followed by a new line. Then every time we have a case and we finish writing our code, we need to insert a break keyword. That means it's going to signal that this case has ended. I'm going to show you later an example of what happens if we don't include this break keyword. So again, we're going to have another case. Let's call it case 2, and it's going to print out the number is 2 followed by a new line. And again, we have to break it. And finally, we're going to have case 3, which is also going to print out the number is 3 followed by a new line. Here you need to notice that when we use cases, we use a colon instead of a curly brace. So if you use a curly brace here, it's going to cause an error, so don't forget to use a colon. And finally, we're going to have a default case. So if none of the values above are equal to num, it's going to go to this default case. Again, I forgot to put in the break statement, so I'm going to put it in. Then we're going to have our default case, and it's going to print out of bound followed by a new line. So this is a simple switch statement. So since num is equal to 1, it should print out the number is 1. Let's save it and check if that is correct. So we're going to go to our terminal and we're going to compile it. Again, we get no errors, and we're going to run it. As you can see, it prints out the number is 1. So let's say we changed our number to 3 and we saved our file. So again, to see the changes, we have to compile it again, then run it. As you can see, it prints out the number is 3. So now let's just put the number out of bounds. So let's just put it at 5, let's say. Again, we're going to save our file, compile, then run. It prints out out of bound. Now let me show you what happens if you forget to put in the break statement. So for example, let's just remove the break statement from case 1. And we're going to save our file, and we're going to compile it and run it. As you can see, it prints out of bounds again. So you might assume that nothing changed, but that is because the default case is at the bottom, so there's nothing after it, so it does not need a break statement. But if, for example, the number was 1, and we saved our file and we compiled it, and we ran our code, we would get the number is 1 and the number is 2. That is because we printed out the number is 1 and we did not break the case. So it continued to the next case and it printed out the number is 2. That is why having the break keyword after each case is important. So this is the basics of a switch statement in C++. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily programming videos.